What's going on, everybody? This is Primetime James Thomas coming at you with another video for the Primetime Podcast. Please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell as well. As today, we're going to talk about the Roger Jackson situation, that the Roger Jackson Psycho Stew situation that happened on August 23rd out in California at the Knox Pro Wrestling Show. All right, so a little bit of a background for people who don't know. Quentin Rampage Jackson is a Hall of Fame mixed martial artist. He fought in Pride, he fought in UFC, he's a former champion. And Raja Jackson is one of his sons. Raja is 25 years old and is a trained MMA fighter, but he is still pretty much an amateur. He's only had about one legitimate fight in his life, which he did lose, and that was 2 years ago. So since Rampage retired, which I believe in 2018 or 2019, him and his son had been doing live streams on Kick. So there's plenty of footage of of those two messing with each other. Well, Rampage messing with him, and on this particular night, Rampage goes to a live stream with, I believe, Sneeko, while Raja goes to a pro wrestling show with his trainer. They go to the show. Raja is mistaken for one of the boys, and they run into a guy named Stuart Smith, whose name is Psycho Stu. He's a pro wrestler. He's a veteran, according to Miro. He's been in the business for about 15 years, started training in 2009. So Psycho Stu, he thinks that Raja is one of the boys, so he kind of does a spot with him, which is the beer can spot. He takes a beer can, kind of crushes it against Raja's head, and this is all live streamed. And you can hear people in the background saying, "You're not going to sell it?" Because they think Raja is working. But Raja is not working. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know anything about this. So he gets mad about this. Finds out, of course, for starters, the beer can was a work. He didn't really smash him in the head with a beer can. It didn't really happen that way. But afterwards, after Stu was smartened up and was told this guy is not one of the boys, Stu apologized to him. He apologized to him 3 times backstage. This is all on video. Raja shakes Stu's hand twice, telling him, "Oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it." He was just kind of fuming because he didn't know what was going on, but now he knows what's going on. Everything's cool. Everything's solid. Then it is brought up by, look, I'm not sure exactly who, that Raja was going to get to be a part of the show. Now that he had been on the show because they did the whole beer can spot, they wanted to give Raja something because I guess his ego was bruised, right? So he goes backstage. There is a indie wrestler by the name of AJ Mana who works at Knox Pro, and he tells Raja to give him a receipt, to give Stu a receipt. He doesn't explain to him what a receipt is. Again, Raja is he's not a pro wrestler. He does not know what these words mean. So AJ Mana, he gets Raja all worked up. They send him back to the crowd. Raja is sitting in the crowd and he's talking to his chat, I believe, or his live stream, and he doesn't know what he wants to do to Stu when he gets his spot in the ring. He doesn't know. Now, he knows he's going to have a spot in the ring. He knows he's going to have a spot in the match. He's told he can hit Stu. Now, we saw AJ Mana say, "Do your thing. If someone gives you shit, I'll back you up on this." We'll talk about that later. When he gets out in the crowd, Raja is telling his chat that he's going to hit Stu for real. He doesn't know how long they're going to let this happen, but he's going to hit Stu for real. When the spot comes up, Raja jumps in the ring, just as planned. He's supposed to double leg Stu and take him down. Instead, he picks Stu up. Now, obviously, Stu is a big guy. He probably knew this was coming, but he was completely unprepared for the fall. Raja slams Stu, knocks him out on the slam because Stu's body goes limp. Raja then climbs up and starts unfurling damn near 24 shoot punches to the face. The referees don't do nothing about it. The other wrestlers barely do anything. After about, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds of some of the most vicious hooks to this guy's unprotected head, wrestlers start to grab on Raja and pull him off. From there, Raja takes it to the back. He's yelling at the wrestlers. He's yelling at the people on cameras. He's saying he's tired of being bullied. He doesn't give a fuck about these guys trying to jump him. Doesn't care about anything. At this point, Rampage Jackson is on kick with Sneeko, and he finds out what's happening. He's reading about what his son had done at the pro wrestling show. Now, Rampage at this point, he gets a little anxious. He gets a little nervous. He's like, oh my God, hopefully it's just hardcore wrestling. Because sometimes these guys like to do this hardcore stuff, which is natural for him to think. Later on, Rampage has told the story, and he's sitting in his car and he does a video in which he calls Psycho Stu dumb, saying this dumb motherfucker who hit my son in the head with a beer can. My son is not a wrestler, okay? Now, Rampage is angry. At this point, as we sit right now, Raja has not been arrested. And Stu is still in the hospital. So that's the bare bones factor of the case. Now we get to my analysis of the situation. I'm going to look at this, obviously, from all the players involved. Let's talk about Nox Pro first. They're a part of the WWE ID program, and they've been a part of this since October of 2024 when the whole damn thing was announced. It's owned by Rikishi, but Rikishi was not present for this situation, and therefore I think one of the co-owners was there and a couple of the other boys were there. This organization put an untrained man in the ring, for starters. Before we even get to that, they allowed Stu to approach who he thought was one of the boys. Nobody smartened him up and said he's not one of the boys, go to somebody else. They let him approach somebody in a crowd they didn't know and do a spot with them without knowing what the outcome could be. That's already reckless and irresponsible. And then, as a make good for this whole thing, they allowed an untrained man to get in the ring. And then, furthermore, one of the guys had said, I'm going to back you up on this. If something happens, they're going to have to deal with me. He's talking about the other wrestlers. For starters, what happened with Raja is not that bad. You could have bought the guy. You could have bought the guy a beer and call it a day. He didn't need to get back in the ring and get a receipt. He didn't get hit in the head with a beer can. If that would have occurred, then they would have fought right then and there, right? This did not need to be elevated to now it needs to be part of the show. You could have just ignored it. You could have just said, hey, man, I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah. Shake his hand, buy you a beer, give you free tickets. If we got merchandise, you can ask him, call it a day, right? To take it to this level shows a level of unprofessionalism and irresponsibility that WWE is now tangentially associated with. They need to rethink their attachment to Nox Pro Academy. There's got some heads got to roll from this. There has to be quite a few people fired behind this, and not just AJ Mana. AJ Mana should be blackballed from the industry. How could he basically line up one of the guys he shares a locker room with? Now, I'm going to try to give him some grace. He probably didn't know that Raja was going to go in there and act like a goddamn Rottweiler. Nobody did. People thought, hey, the guy's fine. I get that. But for you to basically give him the okay, at least in his mind, to throw at least one shoot punch is bullshit. You can't line people up like this. It can't be. You need to have some camaraderie in the locker room, some level of brotherhood in the locker room. That guy should not be in anybody's locker room anywhere. Too reckless. He's too irresponsible, right? I don't know. He's one of the bosses there. I don't know if he's one of the promoters or the bookers. That will all come out in due time. As of right now, however, he's just a wrestler and he should be done. Period. Now, as far as Stu, well, Stu shouldn't be approaching people that he doesn't know and do spots with. If you don't recognize the guy, you shouldn't do a spot with them. Now, I think Stu did the right thing when he realized he made a mistake. He apologized like a man. No, Stu's been around for a long time, apparently. They say 15 years or so. He knows when he screwed up. He did the right thing by offering to shake the guy's hand. He did the right thing by actually assisting Raja and picking him up. You know he had to help him. Look at the size of Stu, right? But he allowed himself to be too vulnerable with the person he did not know. He also should not have been in the situation. The company should not have been in the situation. They should not have put Raja in this situation, and Stu should never agree to it. Now, they agreed to something, apparently, because Stu was involved. But you don't get involved with people who are not trained. That's reckless. You can't do that. Again, nobody knows Raja is going to get in there and act like a damn wolf. Nobody knows that. But you still don't put yourself in that situation. Now let's talk about Rampage Jackson, who's clearly more concerned about his son and about the wrestler for obvious reasons. It's his son, and it's a very serious situation. But for those who are not familiar with Rampage Jackson, so he's kind of like the UFC's version of Shaq, which is true. You know, he's a big dude, always picking with people. He's kind of a bully, but he's a generally funny guy. Rampage likes to have fun. If you've seen him interact with his son, well, one of his sons, Raja, he's kind of a dick to him. And this is where things kind of go into veer off a little bit, because some of the jokes that Rampage has said to him, he might not mean them in a mean, demeaning, condescending way. But when Raja says he's tired of people picking on him and tired of people bullying him, that has nothing to do with Stu. Okay? A lot of that likely has to do with Rampage. There's lots of videos of Rampage making fun of him for being lazy. There's one video of him where Raja's just standing around waiting for his trainer. And Rampage gets on his case like, what the hell are you doing? Go do something. Go jump rope. Go hit the bags. Go do something, bitch. He's calling him a bitches and pushing him, hitting him in the nuts, all that kind of stuff in various different videos. That stuff kind of adds up. Again, it could be funny. That's how Rampage jokes and laugh, but you never know what you are instilling in people or how you make them feel. Because again, they're on live stream doing this stuff. So Rampage is constantly punking him, especially about being a vegan and all that type of stuff. So we don't know. Then you got Raja. Very unfortunate case that because he was incapable of maintaining and controlling his own behavior, poor impulse control, poor discipline, unable to regulate his own emotions. The fact that he held a grudge over a fake beer can shows me that he has almost no emotional regulation. Now, it wasn't an outburst, right? If it was an outburst, they would have fought right then and there when it occurred. He would have gotten mad and they would have started throwing hands. He plotted on Stu. He sat in the crowd and told his chat that he's going to shoot on Stu. This guy who had just shook hands with did a cowardly move. This is not manly at all. I don't give a damn if he wanted to fight Stu. He could have just fought him. You don't let the guy get his guard down, then you jump him. That's bullshit, okay? You stood there face to face with him on multiple occasions. They were face to face twice. If you were mad, you could have slapped him backstage. If you was mad, you should have fought him when he offered his hand. Nah. Get up. We got to throw hands behind this. That's what you wanted to do. Why did you wait until he was unconscious to throw all these punches? And here's the thing. People say, well, he's not a pro wrestler. What Raja did is unconscionable even in MMA. In MMA, if he would have threw all those punches at someone who's not blocking, in boxing, if he would have did the same thing, they would have thought you're fucking out of your mind. There is a reason why in NFC fights, when it appears the guy is knocked out, he can't defend himself, the ref immediately jumps in between them. There's a reason why they do that. And this is where all the people that are running around saying this is attempted murder. Because a lot of people thought Stu was dead. Stu apparently has woken up. You know, he's regained his consciousness, thank God. But this could have been attempted murder. That this was premeditated murder because it looked like he was dead at the time. If Stu did die, you could argue it was premeditated because him and Stu agreed to work together before Raja decided to backstab him. Clearly, there's something wrong with this kid. Clearly, there's something deeply wrong with this kid. And a lot of it, I'm sure, has something to do with Rampage. All right? I don't want to diagnose people, but I see there's something. He's 25 years old. Only had one MMA fight. We're going to get into what Rampage put out on Twitter. We're going to get to what Knox Pro put on Twitter in a second. But from what we know right now, he's not a very good MMA fighter. You know, he's not a big promising fighter. There have been guys who got in the cage. To start fighting at 25 it's a little weird, you know? I looked it up and the average age of UFC guy is 27. But Dana White wants these guys to get some experience first. And Raja had not fought in 2 years. So how much experience does he really have as an MMA fighter? Is he ever really going to make it? And the answer to that is no. Likely no. Now people want him arrested. They want him in prison, you know? Now, he definitely needs to go to jail. For how long, I don't know. Let's figure out how bad Stu. But if Stu wants to press charges, especially if he passed charges, obviously it's manslaughter, murder too. Because he planned to do this. And it's on video. All right? It's not like it was an accident. And that's my problem with Rampage's statement. So Rampage puts out on Twitter, quote, I want to clear up the misinformation about my son, Raja. I have been confirmed that the wrestler Stuart Smith, aka Psycho Stu, is awake and stable. Raja was unexpectedly hit in the side of the head by him moments before Smith's match. Raja was told he would get his payback in the ring. I thought it was part of the show. It was bad judgment and a work that went wrong. Raja is an MMA fighter, not a pro wrestler, and had no business being involved in an event like this. I don't condone my son's actions at all. He suffered a concussion from sparring only days ago and had no business doing anything remotely close to physical contact. As a father, I am deeply concerned with his health and the well-being of Mr. Smith. That being said, I'm very upset that any of this happened. My main concern is Mr. Smith will make a speedy recovery. I apologize on his behalf, and I end to kick for the situation. It's a perfectly fine statement if you just put it out there. The issue is that Rampage frames this thing as a work that went wrong. That's not the case. This was a premeditated attack by his son on this man. They were not working. Stu thought they were going to work. But Roger knew he wasn't going to work with Stu. When he did that slam on Stu and knocked him out, that should have been enough. And that alone should have proven to anybody paying attention that this guy does not know how to do anything. It should not have let him, they should not have let him touch anybody. So Rampage is 100% right and said, my son is an MMA fighter. He's barely an MMA fighter, but he's an MMA fighter. But that's one fight more than 90% of this people. That's one fight more than 9% of these people listening to this video or in backstage. But this guy had a ton of MMA fights under his belt. He's only had one, and he lost. All right. You need to look in this situation as there's something wrong with Raja. Clearly, there's something wrong with Raja, where he went in there and acted like a vicious fucking animal. So Knox Pro made a statement. And it says, quote, first and foremost, our thoughts and prayers are with our brother, Mr. Stuart Smith, Psycho Stu, as he remains a priority that we're monitoring his well-being. Which I get, he's awake, he gained his consciousness. But what was supposed to be an agreed planned wrestling spot turned to a selfish, irresponsible act of violence against Mr. Smith. This egregious act is reprehensible and never should have occurred. In the 17 years of operation of Knox Pro Wrestling Academy, there had been anything as heinous that has taken place such as this, and we apologize to our patrons and fans. Decent statement, but it should have been a call for a criminal investigation. Now, the reason why I truly believe that Raja had not been arrested at this time of recording is because AJ Manna told him to do it. That's why I believe he's not been arrested. Because if he was told, go in there and take a shot, it was not told, hey, man, pull the punch, maybe hit him once, or whatever the case may be. He wasn't told any of that. We saw the video. This guy said, go in there and do your thing. Give him a receipt. You know what that is, right? And I got your back. If anyone says or does anything, I got your back. In other words, this guy, AJ Manna, gave Raja the green light to go in there and act like a fucking wolf. That's why I think Raja's not in prison right now. Why he's not been arrested right now. But Raja's a grown-ass man. He's 25 years old. He knows better. And there was another video that was put out there, one of Rampage's videos. And this is what I mean by sometimes you're joking, but the thing you're joking about can be quite serious. So Rampage is sitting in a chair. He's talking about putting away money for his two Japanese sons. He put money away for them to go to college. But for his two American sons, he put aside bail money, and of course, Roger's one of his American sons, because he knows they're not going to college. It was said kind of like he's joking. But apparently, he knows something that we don't know. And it's a very interesting situation that we got with Rampage and his son. I think there's some unresolved issues there. I think when your dad is someone like Rampage Jackson, he can emasculate you even when he's not trying to. And when you're a young man and in his shadow, you look up to him and you feel he doesn't respect you. He's constantly calling you a bitch, putting his hand on you, pushing you around, that kind of stuff. I could see why that might build up some type of resentment. And Stu is just a target of that resentment. And the unfortunate thing is that happens a lot in our world. People will misdirect their anger, misdirect their frustrations. They're mad at somebody else, but they can't beat them. They can't whoop them. So they'll find a soft target. People will do this literally all the time. They'll go to work, get frustrated about their boss. They can't beat up the boss. They can't kill the boss. So they'll go home and give the wife grief, give the children grief, right? Single mothers get mad at the baby daddy to take it out on the kids. This type of stuff happens all the time. And these emasculated young people who feel like the only way for them to get respect is to viciously attack people. That's a problem in our society in general, because we have young boys killing each other over he dissed me, he disrespected me. I'm not gonna let him disrespect me because this is all they got. There's a video where Raja is sitting in a car talking about how broke he is. And I saw some people make this comment on social media that he grew up rich because his dad is a famous MMA fighter. And he's put out this video. He was talking about, that's my dad's money. That ain't my money. He has money. He's rich. I'm not rich. I'm broke. You know? And he was talking about how stressed out he was about all this. And I'm not saying any of this stuff to be sympathetic. I'm just giving you a full view of what type of person this man is. The first time you ever see him, he's doing some violent shit like this. But there's backstory to all this. He can still go to jail, absolutely. But there is a reason why he got set off to do something like this. There is a reason why he has difficulty regulating his emotions, why he couldn't stop punching as soon as he started. There was something in him that snapped, a rage. It wasn't that it wasn't that he just had a chip on his shoulder and wanted to prove himself. No. Clearly there was something else there. There's something deeply wrong with him. He needs to see a psychiatrist or a jail psychiatrist. He can't be amongst the people. Nobody who shakes a man's hand and jumps from behind is a good person. And this was all live streamed. And like I mentioned at the very beginning, so there's a police investigation currently ongoing. No doubt there'll likely be charges. There'll be an arrest, all sorts of stuff, unless Stu decides he's not going to press charges, which he might not. We don't know yet. We don't know what kind of guy. We don't know what kind of guy Stu is. But prayers up to Stu. Terrible situation. It gives pro wrestling a bad name. It makes MMA look bad too, because nothing is worse than an MMA fighter who jumps on a guy who doesn't know how to fight MMA. It's the same way with boxers. Sometimes these guys, they learn skills. They want to show them off. But in my opinion, it's something deeply rooted there with Raja. But prayers up to Stu. I think WWE needs to tighten up their WWE ID program, especially when it comes to Knox Wrestling. I don't think they should just end the program, but I don't know if they should cut ties with them completely with Knox Pro, but they certainly need to tighten up. And it needs to be some really strict guidelines about what these indies can do, because the shit indies are shit indies for a reason, whether owned by WWE Hall of Famers or not. They're garbage promotions. But those are my thoughts on the situation. Let me know how you guys feel about the whole Raja situation, about what he did to Stu. As far as I know, it looks like Stu, like I said, he regained consciousness, but apparently I'm hearing that his teeth, pretty much all his teeth are gone. His face is really horribly fucked up. I don't know the situation, but apparently he has regained consciousness, so there's good on that part. But I will say, as a pro wrestler myself, this was sickening. This was disgusting. It was stupid, and it was reckless, and it could have never been that far. And also, shame on the wrestlers and that referee that just let that shit happen. No way that should have went that far. But let me know guys' thoughts. Hit that like, subscribe button. Let me know guys' thoughts in the comment sections. I'm Primetime James Thomas, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.